Hi guys! Okay, so I know I've been gone for kind of a long time, and I do have a little bit of news about that. I recently got a job that allows me to make videos for a living. It's super exciting, and I'm having a lot of fun, but it does mean that I don't have as much free time as I did before. What does that mean for this channel? Well, these doll projects are very time intensive, and I just don't have the time and energy to continue making one doll a month, but I'm not going to quit making dolls. Instead, I'm going to put out shorter videos with a more in-depth look at the project and make only a few dolls a year. Since I'll have more time, I'm expecting each project will be much more complex, so fewer dolls, but with lots more details. Unfortunately, this will be the last classic Pastel Berrie style video. Phew, that's a lot to open this video with. On to the doll! A few months back, Jacob from BlankSpaceDolls and I did a collab based around flowers. We both had a lot of fun with that project, and he said he would be open to doing a swap at some point in the future. We chose Winter Couture for a theme. Winter Couture. I'll admit that I was making this doll around Christmas, so a lot of my inspiration seems to have come from there. I wanted a big dramatic coat with some fun fur details, and then something completely different inside, like you're unwrapping a present. I'm going to start with a Nephra base, since I know that that is Jacob's favorite doll base. She's got stronger features than the other girls and a fun hairline. Y'all know the drill by now. Snip off the hair, dunk the head, pull it off, scrape the inside of the noggin to get all the glue plugs out, and then wipe the factory paint with 100% acetone. Actually, this part is pretty satisfying. I asked Jacob what his favorite hair color was, and he said dark brown or ginger. So I'm going to mix together 3 shades of brown for this doll. In preparation for that, I'm painting the scalp brown. For the outfit, I wanted something ethereal as well as glam, so what says that better than a sheer bodysuit covered in rhinestones? Start by tracing out the doll's body onto a piece of paper. And here's where I sort of ran into my first issue. I cut the bodysuit out of chiffon, which means it's not stretchy at all, and when you're doing something form-fitting like this, you really need the extra forgiveness that spandex can afford. I chose chiffon because it was completely sheer the way that I wanted it to be, without having huge holes in it like tulle would've. Also, chiffon pulls apart really easily, especially on small scale like this. I did my best to sew it up very securely, but since the whole outfit is see-through, you have to get creative to hide your seams. Take a ribbon in a similar color and using glue, fold it in half over your seam. There, now it's completely hidden. I liked this look so much, I decided to finish off all the hems in the same fashion. Back of stretch. Cut a wedge out of the back of the bodysuit and cover those edges in more ribbon. And then cut little slits through that ribbon. What's going in those little slits? Grommets. I found these super teeny tiny grommets on Amazon, and they'll work perfectly for making this a corset back bodysuit. Just push them through and hammer them down. I've apparently lost the footage of literally hammering it, but I think you get the idea. Now comes the really fun part. We're going to spackle this girl in rhinestones. I'm covering her in tape first to make sure that the glue doesn't bleed through the chiffon and stick to her actual body. Then it's an endless process of picking up rhinestones, dotting the backs of them with glue, and putting them on the garment where you want them. Okay, so about the shoes. I had a really hard time with the shoes this go around. I wanted a very different look than what I usually do, and my shoes generally don't come out great in the first place. I'm really out of my comfort zone here. So with that in mind, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about these, since I don't think it would be much help from a tutorial standpoint. Watching me struggle through probably has some entertainment value though, so here we go. First, I sewed up a tube of fabric directly onto her leg using a ladder stitch, and this left a big ugly line down the back of her leg, so I covered that up with some ribbon. Next, I glued 2 pieces of cardboard together in the shape of the sole and glued that to the bottom of her foot. That left a big ugly gap between the sole and the sides of the shoes, so I covered that with more ribbon. But there was still a gap. So I braided a piece of embroidery thread and glued that down along the edge of the shoe. Off screen, I added an epoxy heel, then painted the whole thing to match. Decided I hated it, and finally decided to cover the whole thing in more rhinestones. Now it's beautiful. Beautiful. On to the coat. I modified a coat pattern I already had to be a little bit more nephra sized and longer. I found this gorgeous red suede, and I think it'll look really lovely against her skin. Quick note, if you're still afraid of your sewing machine like I am, don't work with suede. It's super thick and your fingers will cry bitter, bitter tears of cramping through the whole process. I also decided to line this coat with a red silk taffeta and then trim the whole thing with faux fur. This stuff is so soft, I love it. Wow, the whole outfit is done, but where is the head? We should probably get to that. For this look, I knew I wanted to work in a dramatic highlight, so I'm using my micro glitter in layers and layers of sparkly champagne. If you're wanting to build up more than a subtle glimmer, it's important to put the micro glitter on every time that you spray it with MSC. Otherwise, the MSC will mattify your glitter and it won't pick up the light as well. I'm giving this girl subtle contouring since Nephra already has a strong facial mold and high cheekbones. Mostly, I'm bringing some color to her face by blushing the cheeks and nose and emphasizing her different hairline. I believe she's the only Monster High girl who has any variation in her hairline, is that right? Using my General's chalk pencil, gifted to me by Jacob, thank you Jacob, I block in the whites of her eyes. Once more, I cannot recommend this pencil enough. I really do think it's a necessity when it comes to doing face-ups, since the color goes on so opaque. This girl is getting some red lipstick and bold brows. I'm doing my 3 dots trick, one at the start of the brow, one in the middle, and one at the end of the brow, and then filling in the color from there. Then use a kneaded eraser to carve out the shape. God, I wish filling my own eyebrows in was this easy. She's getting blue eyes this time. I'm trying to shade them so they're darker at the top and lighter at the bottom, but my pencils are being a little stubborn and I'm not sure why. Maybe the temperature? After building up colors for a while, I got annoyed and used the General's chalk pencil to put a skim of white at the very bottom of her iris. And I think that turned out pretty well. Finally, I can take her hair down. In order to get the hair to lay how I wanted it to, I wrapped a thin cloth over her head and boil washed it, then gave it a quick snip. Once she's had her hair cut, I move on to glossing her eyes and adding lashes. I've found that glued on eyelashes frequently won't last through a boil wash, and sometimes the gloss seems to run when it gets that hot too, so I think that it's best to just wait until the hair is set. Pop her head back on, and she's done! I'm actually really happy with this doll. She looks mostly the way I was picturing, and I'm absolutely in love with all the rhinestones and the general glam look of her. I wanted something very mature looking and dramatic for Jacob, and I think that I achieved that here. Plus, I got to shove her in my Christmas tree for some of these photos, and I think she looks really nice in there. As of writing this script, my doll from Jacob hasn't arrived, but at this point, it's supposed to get here in the next few days. I'll be opening her live on my Instagram feed. I hope you can all join me there and see her, and if not, don't worry, I'll post about 1 million pictures of her on Instagram. A huge thank you to Jacob for doing this swap with me. I had so much fun. Make sure you give his video a watch. I'll put a link in the description box below. I hope you liked this classic Pastel Berrie episode. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more doll stuff. You can follow me on Instagram for more behind the scenes stuff and sneak peeks. Thank you so much for watching, and bye for now!